Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Xavier. We're very excited to have you joining us this morning on a beautiful morning here in Charlottesville, Virginia. It has just enough chill.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous here.
What are you a little jealous of?
Well, it's just I'm looking. I got this little bottle of water here, and you got that beautiful red thing of water in there. You must be like special here now.
I know.
You've really moved up.
I've moved up in life, you know what I mean? I finally, thanks to Today Mañana, I had enough of a paycheck that I could afford.
My bottle actually got smaller instead of bigger, and yours like this beautiful flask of who knows what's in there, but anyway, I mean.
It's a clear liquid.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something like café con leche.
It should be a café con leche.
Right.
Now, next time, one of these days, I will bring a café con leche on there. But for those of you out there, you should get yourselves a café con leche.
That's right.
Get to your great spot and watch some Today Mañana. Because we have two amazing guests that are going to be joining us shortly this morning. The first is going to be Phil Riese. He is the owner of Unlocked History Escape Rooms. Right here in Charlottesville, and then I think I might have pronounced it wrong. It's Jay Berget.
Oh, you said it with a
I was
French
doing a little
accent
fancy.
before.
I was doing a little too
Berget,
fancy on it, but it's Jay Berget, owner of SoundAround, and also doing some CVille 360. Which, if you're wondering what that means, we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
We're going to find out later in the show. Always love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. Big thank yous to our presenter, Emergent Financial Services, and our great partners at Matthias, Realty, Craddock, Sirius Insurance, going to be joining us next week.
Okay.
Miguel and Carolina. Castle Hill Cider, and Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So we've got some great...
Yeah, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Send us any questions, comments you might have.
I'm done for the day. I love this.
No, once you remembered that, you're set, right? You're like, okay, that's all I had to remember. The guests' names and...
That's so hard to remember, but you never put that on the notes either, which I'm really surprised.
Oh, the like, share, and subscribe. I probably should put that on your cheat. What's the little test? It's always, does he remember to say?
Those gray cells have to be challenged once in a while.
Exactly. Got to keep it moving a little bit. Exercise.
That's
Exercise. Right. But today's guests are pretty easy for you to remember.
Oh, yes.
You'll remember Jay, because he's talking about before, and you'll remember Phil, because we just had a fantastic experience.
Hard to remember that.
At the Unlocked History Escape Room. So I'm ready. I don't know about you. I'm ready to jump right into that. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'd love to talk about that. That's great.
Absolutely. So we're excited to welcome to the show this morning Phil Riese. He's the owner of Unlocked History Escape Rooms. Phil, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure. Beautiful morning. And it was a pleasure to host you guys the other night at one of the escape rooms.
Yeah. So we had the pleasure of doing so for 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 7 of us. For 5 of us, it was first time ever escape room.
In a room, yes, exactly.
And everybody was just blown away because we did the revolution. I think it's called The British Are Coming.
It's called The British Are Coming. Yeah, it's that was our very first escape room that we opened when we opened up 5 years ago. But it's called The British Are Coming. It uses some of Charlottesville's history. Mm-hmm. So for people who know some of the history, it uses the Jack Jewett ride during the Revolutionary War back in 1781. When he went to warn Thomas Jefferson and Martha Jefferson that the British were coming to Charlottesville to try to capture them. So he rode about 40 miles and warned Jefferson to depart, and he got out of the Monticello with 5 minutes to spare. So you kind of recreate that history in that escape room.
Absolutely.
I think we
thankfully
matched exactly that.
Thankfully you give us an hour instead of 5 minutes, but absolutely. So for those who haven't met you yet, tell us, I'm very curious, how you first decided you wanted to go into creating escape rooms, because there's 3 rooms there. They're amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
So how did you first say, hey, this is something I want to do?
Well, sure. So my wife and I and our family, we were living in Germany back in 2015, 2016. For the most part, I'd never heard of escape rooms before, and we were traveling to Prague in the Czech Republic, and I was just on TripAdvisor looking for things to do, and this thing called escape room was at the top of the list. I'm like, well, that sounds interesting, something fun for us to do in Prague. So we did it, and we kind of fell in love with the first one. It wasn't the best escape room, but it was still a lot of fun, and it was still very early on when escape rooms were just really brand new to the U.S. and to the world. And before that, I knew I wanted to start a small business. I just didn't know what. But once we did an escape room, it was sort of, we can kind of use our creative energy. It's the right size business for what I wanted, not too small, not too big. And so when we moved back to the U.S. in 2017, we knew we were going to start an escape room right here in Charlottesville. So that's what we did. That's how it started.
Oh, amazing.
I'll tell you about when he talks about creative energy, that creative part of that energy is amazing because the things that go on in there and how you create it.
Yeah.
I mean, it blew my mind. I mean, I could have never ever even thought of
imagined.
That. I mean, it's just amazing.
Because you're talking, I mean, for those who have kind of been, if you've been to like your basic escape room, you're in a room, a lot of, locks, figuring out combinations and stuff. There are some of those, but what I think takes you to that next level, because it was the first escape room I ever did, is you're talking sometimes more than one room. I think every time. More than one room, which you don't know when you first walk in. It's not like you're sitting there with 3 rooms.
I thought it was going to be a piece of cake. I walked in this room so small, I said, we'll be done here in about 10 minutes.
Secret openings, secret passageways, not just lock boxes. You're talking about putting things together, things that you have to put on the wall, things you might not expect, that trigger. So a lot of physical things that you're moving around, which I don't even know how it works behind the scenes, but like trigger other things to happen. So it's just very much, there was a moment when the other Mrs. Urpí, Nick's wife, one of us had triggered something on the wall and she was next to an opening panel and it suddenly opened and she goes, oh my God, oh my goodness. You get that kind of like surprise because you don't expect that to happen. So it's just really creative, all the things that you managed to put together. How did you what's the process even of thinking of putting some of this together and going from an idea to like an execution?
Well, it's a long process. So, the very first one, it took me about 5 or 6 months just to build. And, part of it is just sort of planning it all out. Because you start from the ending. How do you want it to end? You want something that's sort of impactful, that's sort of fun, like a nice aha moment. And for that room, the objective, you have to find the Declaration of Independence so that it doesn't fall into British hands. So that's we took a little literary license for that part of the story, but something that's fun, something that you're working to. The escape room, even though it's called escape room, none of our escape rooms, the objective is to escape the room. There is an objective at the end of the room. So we kind of figure out what the story is going to be. We use actual history to and incorporate that in there. And then we kind of work backwards. You mentioned sort of all of our escape rooms have multiple rooms. So we don't necessarily tell people that in the beginning because kind of what happened to you, I think, you go in there, you're in Thomas and Martha Jefferson's bedroom.
Exactly.
It's not the biggest room, and you're thinking, well, am I going to spend an hour in here? So in a weird way, we kind of a little lower expectations. And then once you find there's a hidden passageway into room 2, his office, and later on, there's another hidden passageway. There's 3 rooms. It kind of exceeds your expectations quite quickly.
Absolutely.
I certainly strive for that. All of our current escape rooms have 2 or 3 rooms, and so that secret passageway, that's a big aha moment. So we really work on making sure that those are fun.
Which really means, though, that when you create this, right? I mean, before you even get the electrical work and everything done, you have to know what's going on because. I mean, my assumption is that there's some electrical stuff going on that opens the doors and things like that, right?
Yeah, so there are some things. I mean, there's like an escape room industry now that the escape rooms have been around for, I guess, close to about 8 or 9 years around the country. So there are companies that will build like little mini units, and so a lot of the electric guts I'll sort of buy, but then you have to put it in such a way that it makes sense for the story.
Yeah.
So there's magnetic sensors. So, if you put something up on a wall and it has a magnet and then there's a sensor you can't see behind it, that will trigger an electromagnetic lock to open, right? So, but we really do have to customize each of the electronic units so that it makes sense for the story. You don't want a telephone in in 1781.
Exactly.
So you got to make sure you have puzzles and props that would make sense for the period of history that we're shooting for. In that case, the Revolutionary War.
So there's that one. And what are some of the other like rooms or adventures?
Yep. So we have you did the British car. I mean, we have 2 others. One is called The Raven, and that's based on Edgar Allan Poe. And a lot of people don't know.
A local character, too,
yeah,
right,
he went to UVA, so he was a student at UVA, and it's in UVA's second year. So Jefferson and Poe were at UVA at the same time, interestingly.
Yeah.
But 1826, I believe. Poe went to UVA, and we use his dormitory room as the setting for that one.
Okay.
Which you can actually still visit the actual dormitory
you see
room
it.
today.
Yeah. On the
So we
wall.
modeled that after his dormitory room. But we also, for that one, we did a couple things. We incorporated his time in Charlottesville. We incorporated some of his interesting history, like he married his cousin, right? And we kind of merged his wife, I think her name was Virginia Clem, into some of his stories that he wrote.
Yes.
So
remember
the
that.
Raven, his fiance in that story was Lenore, and she had passed away previously in that story. And he wants to know. He's asking this Raven up in his room if he's ever going to reunite with his dead fiance. You know, it's Poe, so it's a little
It's
spooky.
always, kind of creepy.
But we kind of merged some of that, and then we used the Black Cat, the Casco of Amontillado, the Oval Portrait, Annabelle Lee, 4 or 5 of his other stories as part of our larger escape room story. And then our third escape room, the one that we came out with in last year, November 2022. I think you've done it, Alex.
I did
it's
it,
called
yeah,
The Allied Spy. So that one is more American history.
Okay.
It uses Virginia Hall. She was an actual spy in France during World War II. She was, I think she was our top spy. And she helped prisoners get out of, sort of POW camps. And really she helped the French Revolutionary movement, like the underground movement during the war, so that when Allied soldiers started invading France, you had all these French revolutionaries that were ready to stand up, and she helped arm them. So we use her as sort of, in that room, she's given you messages and hints and clues
you
over
get
the
instructions
radio.
from her.
But that one you have to first break into a safe house in Paris. You get some more instructions, you find some things, and then you find out that it's actually right next door to Nazi headquarters in Paris. And you have to get into Nazi headquarters, and then, I think it's a lot of fun, eventually you get some intelligence, but then you have to blow up Nazi headquarters.
Yeah. The way that one ends, I'm not going to spoil, but the way that one ends is just so exciting.
Yeah.
Because when he says you've got to blow up Nazi headquarters, you have to blow up Nazi headquarters.
Wow.
It's not like, you find out later that Nazi headquarters blew up. Like
You literally have to do it.
You're getting explosives. The building might shake just a little bit, but it is a lot of fun. That and World War II history is my favorite period of history, so I had a lot of fun creating that one.
That's an awesome movie. That one's really cool. You actually start in the hallway.
Yes.
So if you're used to you know what I mean? It's kind of the reverse escape room. You have to break into the first room.
Yep.
Because you start that one in the hallway.
Okay.
Which has been beautifully. I mean, and I have to say the designs are really one of the most impressive things. When you go in there, a lot of the props and things like that. We walked past that one. Remember, it's got all the flower boxes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
So you kind of feel like you're outside of an apartment in Paris.
Okay.
That one, that's like kind of a city in Paris, and I'll give credit to one of my staff members, Christy. I put her in charge of sort of doing the interior decorating of that hallway. She did a fantastic job.
Fantastic.
So.
Really impressive.
Yep.
We got some comments coming in. Kevin Higgins watching the show this morning. Thank you. He says this business is a great opportunity. It seems to him for like youth sports teams to work as one unit instead of individuals, like a team first approach. Because these skills adapt to the field, and it's true because when you go in there, you've got to work as a team. If you got 5 people all doing their separate thing, you're going to get confused.
And you need team members. That's what I told my wife. I said, if you and I came in here, we'd be in that first room just sitting there twiddling our thumbs after 1 hour saying, okay, we're kind of stuck. Don't have any hints, more hints.
And there are some puzzles that work with, different people's specialties. Mm-hmm. So like, for example, I'm really bad with like spatial intelligence, like putting together some sort of 3D, puzzle, I guess. But my wife is really good at it. So when you have like a team, a family, friends, you find different people's specialties, and they all support, and helps you do better. But we do get a lot of corporate groups, school groups. We're just starting a partnership with Center One, the high school here in Albemarle County.
Nice.
So they're going to bring, looks like 72 students a year, like every year. And then I'm going to go in as a guest speaker, teach them a little bit how I build some of these props, And there might be an opportunity where they can kind of do that as a school project as well. So that's one thing that we're going to be trying to do over the next year.
Fantastic. Yeah.
That's neat. What is it's trained like? It's got that history element, but it's also, I mean, you're talking mathematics, design, engineering, just how kind of the basic how do things work? How do I make physical things that work, especially in such a digital age, right?
Yes.
So few of us know now. How do mechanical things work? How does a car work?
Yeah.
How can you make a simple mechanical tool? But I feel like an escape room is kind of a lot of that, because it's and if you think about the design, you have to make things work so that when A happens, then B happens.
Yeah, and I certainly, when I started, I didn't have some of these skills to build some of these puzzles, but I've learned how to do 12-volt wiring. And that sort of connects an electromagnetic lock to a puzzle. But yeah, there's a little bit of engineering. There's a little bit of a lot of different things. Trying to make the puzzles sturdy so that you don't have to fix them every 4 weeks. So that maybe it's 18 months before you have to fix something. But you said you hit on something that in the digital age, sometimes we're not used to just using things with our hands, and I think that is one of the big appeals for escape rooms, because it takes the screens away. Kids are learning, adults are learning. They might learn a little history, a little about maybe Edgar Allan Poe, but you're working with your hands, and I don't think we get enough of that in this world. So escape rooms are a nice opportunity to do something different that's fun and educational as well.
Yeah, you know what I like? It's like you bring us back to a time in the past, because literally you walk into that bedroom and you realize, versus today's bedrooms, there's not much in there, right? Other than, the books and things that you would, little candles that you need to read by, candlelight. So, every room had its own history, and then you go to the next level. It's like all the little things that are happening, right? And you say, that's modern technology, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just great, because you really feel like you're back in history, and you're looking for clues, you're finding, but it's like, at the same time, in the back of your mind, you're saying, wow, that's ingenious. How did you do that? You know what I'm saying? It's just fantastic. It's a learning process and an enjoyable process.
Well, fortunately, Thomas Jefferson, so I modeled that escape room like 2 or 3 of his Monticello rooms. So if you've been to Monticello, he's got his bed right in the middle between his bedroom and his office, and you can't really hop on his bed in the real Monticello, but in ours you can, and eventually it leads to a secret passageway.
Eventually you need to.
Yeah, but we were talking a little bit about this wheel cipher. So he invented that, actually, that little thing where you have to put this wheel cipher together and it allow you to decode something. But he invented that when he was ambassador to France. He knew the French were reading his letters, so he needed a way to send coded messages back to the U.S. where the French didn't know what he was saying, but someone else had another cipher wheel.
Oh my goodness!
And could decode.
I had no idea either. Yeah.
And we use Benjamin Franklin's bifocals. He invented that. So we have a puzzle where you have to look through some glasses, a little similar to National Treasure, if you've seen that movie. So we take different parts of the history and try to incorporate into our escape rooms as much as possible.
Which is really cool. And you're mostly working with, even in the Allen one, you're working with, granted, obviously behind the scenes there's modern technology, but you're working with things that in the puzzle itself functions as it would have functioned in World War II, so that when you're doing things with the radio or with the other things, right? Obviously, we know behind the scenes what's happening. But when you're in the puzzle, you're only using things that they would have had around them at the time to make things work. Little grenade things moving. I remember the Allied one has one of those big maps where you have to position the little army pieces.
Yeah, there's
tanks
Panzer tanks and Tiger tanks, and the idea is this is sort of like a war room for the Nazis, and they have this map of sort of France where they're moving units and so forth. And we took the idea, well, let's take little mini units. We can use that as intelligence to send the intelligence back to the Allies, like where these units are. But it also, if you manipulate them in such a way, a box opens. So it's part of the escape room where you do something the right way, something opens, and you get that fun aha moment.
What you learn, and it's true, you learn so much. We were learning. I did that one with my friends. We were learning places in France that were relevant to World War II that we didn't know beforehand. There's one that it was a difficult name to recall, but
there's Les Moulins and Quai Bourg, but sometimes we have to work with the map that we have, right? So like I had this D-Day map that I found online, printed it. I'm like, okay, we got to use this for the escape room. How can I use a specific city name as part of a puzzle?
Exactly.
Right.
So really cool.
So it is kind of fun how we make those puzzles to work with what we have.
And I also have to say, don't take anything for granted, because there were some things that I saw there that I would tell everybody, they're doing that to distract you. Don't even think about it. It looks too complicated. Go somewhere else. And later on, it's like, okay, I guess we didn't need that.
Important.
Right?
That was important. Vina Nancy Nichols watching today. Bill McChesney, Johnny O'Neill, Amido del Programa. Thanks for tuning in this morning. So I got to ask, what's it kind of like? What was it like taking the plunge and like doing the entrepreneur part behind the scenes? Like, what's it kind of like running an escape room in addition to all the work that goes in building one?
Well, yeah, I mean, building escape rooms is just one small part of the puzzle of owning an escape room business. Pun intended on that one, but I do enjoy it, right? I've had another full-time job on top of this business for the past 5 years. Unfortunately, they've given me a year off to build my business, and we can talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But we will be expanding. But I frankly enjoy the accounting. I enjoy some of the perhaps boring stuff. I enjoy trying to build the website, trying to make the website as easy as possible for someone to make a reservation. You don't want to have 8 clicks to book a reservation. Mm-hmm. You want people to see the schedule all on one page. So there's just a lot that goes into that. Trying to figure out search engine optimization, and staffing and hiring. Like during COVID, it was a difficult time for that process. Fortunately, we got some great staff members. I got about 5 or 6 part-time staff members who all do a great job hosting. So I do really enjoy the small business aspect of it. I mentioned before, I knew I wanted to start a small business. I just didn't know what.
Which one?
And this was sort of the perfect marriage where I get to manage and run a small business, but it's also something I love doing. I love building puzzles. I'm probably never going to write a script for a movie, but I can make my own little story using actual history that I think is more fun than a movie. You feel like you're in a movie in some of these, and you're interacting. So it's it's not as passive as sitting in a theater and just watching other characters in a movie. You kind of play your own character in a movie.
Exactly. Absolutely. So I got to ask. So just my friends and I, when we were waiting on we knew the Allied history was coming, and so we were just like, okay. When's it? We would chat you religiously, okay, when's it coming? So
it took a long time.
God, I know, but it was worth it. It was
good.
Absolutely worth it. So what's next for Unlocked History Escape Rooms? What can we be looking forward to in the future?
So I have not told anybody out this, so this is sort of a big announcement that we have. We are expanding Unlocked History Escape Room. So right now we have about 1,800 square feet with those 3 escape rooms with what you visited, but we've leased the building right next door, and we're getting another 2,200 square feet. So we have enough room for either 3 or 4 escape rooms. I might do like a birthday room where people can have birthday parties, after they do an escape room.
Gotcha.
But at least 3 escape rooms. I hope to have the next one sometime in early 2024. I don't know the exact date. Sometimes these take longer than expected, but
once you know it, I'll circulate it online.
Okay, sounds good. But and then the next one is going to be based on Leonardo da Vinci.
Whoa,
so
nice.
I always try to pick stories that I'm interested in because it makes it easier to build an escape room if you're passionate about history. So I've been reading biographies on Leonardo da Vinci, buying some books on sort of his sketchbooks, and it's going to be called Da Vinci's Discovery, and it's going to use a lot of his paintings. We're going to try to use some of his inventions that he made for his patrons. He is one of the most famous figures of all time. So it won't be hard to come up with puzzles and sort of a story narrative that sort of makes sense for the history. But it'll take place in Florence. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm always playing around with other ideas for future escape rooms, but it's really just kind of one at a time, get it open, and then we can look into to the other ones. I might use some more local Charlottesville history for the next escape room after that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I'm excited
That's fantastic,
for it.
bro.
I am super excited. Just awesome that now you've expanded and it's easy to same location. Easy to get to, and you've got soon you'll have 3 and then you'll have 4.
Yeah, and hopefully eventually six total of 6 or 7 after a couple
and now,
years.
for those if you've out there and you've been before, you do change up some things because I can definitely say
can vouch for that.
I can vouch for that. That part of it's me, but like part of it was definitely it was my second time doing the British are coming, and between things I vaguely knew that this was a clue, but I don't know how to solve it. To this one wasn't there before. Yeah. It can still be a new experience if you wait long enough. Obviously don't do it twice in 2 months.
So if you bring friends that haven't been there before or family members, you can go a second time because there's a good chance you won't remember everything. You won't spoil anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's 2 things. If you give enough time, you're going to forget a lot of the puzzles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But 2, none of the escape rooms are ever in a finished mode. We see things when we're hosting these games like, hey, this group, they're having a lot of problems with this puzzle, and we try to make all of our puzzles doable, challenging but doable. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we might tweak a puzzle. Sometimes we might add a new puzzle. So we added a candle puzzle that I don't think you had before. That you have to blow. Mm-hmm. You have to blow the candles in the correct order.
I would have never.
To be honest, I can't even remember how we got into the center room.
It was different. It was just a normal like a 5-letter lock with the I'll say it with a constellation. So we added a puzzle where you use the constellation for something else. Mm-hmm. But we're always tweaking. I just really added a new puzzle to Allied Spy, where you're kind of searching around for something with like a UV flashlight. So you can do them more than once. I would recommend with a different group.
Yeah.
But you might wait a year or 2 when things kind of forget, because it's going to be mostly the same. But we're always trying to improve it. Even the British are coming's 5 years old, but we've been making tweaks here and there over those last 5 years. And it was just as fun
the second time. I think I did that one 3 years. I did one each year.
Okay.
So I did that one maybe 2 years ago. And it's just as fun the second time, especially when you do it with a different group.
Yes, yeah.
I remember, as a matter of fact, with the candles, I remember Elizabeth, Nick's Elizabeth was saying, wait a minute, when we came in here, 2 were lit, and I'm saying, it's probably some kind of malfunction that they have. Who cares? You know what I mean? I would have never guessed.
She was telling us, poor thing, like something's up with the candles.
She kept saying something, and I'm saying, what are we supposed to do? Nothing.
I'm turning the light on and off.
Let's keep looking for the clues. Yep. And then finally, once we found the clues, she said, "There you are. That's."
Yeah. You figure it out. There's some things where you're like, I think that's going to be used, but you can't quite use it. You don't have all the information you need, but you'll use it later on in the escape room. That happens a lot.
It's a great experience, and really would recommend it to
highly
everyone. Highly recommend it.
Thank you.
And so Phil, this has been a pleasure. Where can people, if people are excited, where can they register for one, like sign on, and where can they find you?
Yep. So our website is www.unlockedhistory.com. So I'll spell that because it's UNLOCKEDHISTORY.com. That's the best place to find out everything about us. There's more information on each of the escape rooms there, but that is where we take reservations. Mm-hmm. And if you have some issues, booking a reservation, or you have some questions, our phone number's on that website as well. You can give me a call and I'll answer any of your questions. But that's
Absolutely. it. Absolutely. And you were right here in Charlottesville in McIntyre Plaza.
McIntyre Plaza, all those colorful buildings by Great Harvest Bread Company, behind Circa.
Easy to get to.
CVille Coffee, yep.
Yeah. If you see the CVille Coffee part, you just go on in there and it's right in there.
Yep.
Right. It's not a puzzle to get to. That's good.
Totally a puzzle.
And great parking. You can park right up to the building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It's very easy. Very easy. And very easy to make a reservation, actually, because I once even did it on my phone. So it's very easy to do, so we'd highly recommend it. Phil, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for letting us come by last week.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on today.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you,
And
gentlemen.
we'll see you soon again.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be
back. And in 3 months, I'll be back at the British saying, I can't remember a thing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Just
That was
Yeah,
good.
so
It's
it
funny
was,
because he's talking about the website. I'm saying if you had made the website like the Unlock History, nobody would go. It's like I can't
You
get
want
to
the
the rest of
website to be
pages.
the opposite. Yeah, you
Exactly.
want the website to
No,
be
when he
easy.
said that, make it simple. I said he's right. Yeah, you certainly don't want to make it like the Unlock History room.
Imagine, yeah, that would be the opposite. No, but really a great experience.
It
and
really is. Yeah, I highly recommend
for,
it. Absolutely.
for everyone. I've done with friends, I've done with family, so it's fantastic. Yeah, from one great guest to another that
yes.
we're really glad to have him back on the show.
Jay Berget. I like that.
I guess I was having one of those like fancy moments, and I was like, oh, what's the symbol ones are harder sometimes for me to pronounce. But Jay Berget, he is the owner and founder of SoundAround and doing some CVille 360, which we'll get to very shortly. Jay, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me back.
Oh no,
Awesome.
it's always good to have you back. So I mean, last time we had you on, we talked a lot about SoundAround. Give us kind of a quick recap of that for anyone who wasn't watching at the time. Tell us a little bit about how you started SoundAround, and then maybe you can transition to how you've grown to doing some what is CVille 360.
Sure, yeah. So SoundAround started with me doing, into music, involved with sound engineering, doing sound for weddings, sometimes speaking events, corporate events, all sorts of different things. So what that does is that brings me into the venue space. That's brought me into folks that are having celebrations and weddings and live music and business meetings and that sort of thing. And these are really the places that I like to be around. Not as much the business meetings, but people that are active with what they're doing. I mean, actually, honestly, sometimes the business meetings let you learn about
What they do.
they're doing a presentation about their year. As the business.
Exactly.
And so, it's really interesting to be there. You're sort of a fly on the wall. You're running sound. You're running microphones. I was at the Tom Tom Festival, and I worked.
Saw you there. Yeah, you kind of made everything sound.
Yeah, and that
good.
was actually a Cat's Audio, so I work with those guys as well. But what that brought me to is a larger idea of I want to, a little bit of a selfish venture. I want to make these venues sound good. I want to make them comfortable to be in, and all of the places and people that I want to meet, I want to help out with what they're doing. Yeah. So whether it's a home theater or a living room or any kind of entertainment space, music venue, celebration, meeting room, places that are all over around town, and it could be as simple as a room, or it can be as complicated as someone's brewery tasting room that has tables and servers and kitchens and machinery and that sort of thing. And so what SoundAround can do is help calm some of that down. So you're taking down, you're lowering occupational noise for the employees.
You can even do the reverse.
I was gonna.
My mind was always like gravitated, especially last time, always gravitates to, producing sound. But there are ways that you can actually work to kind of
absorb the sound.
Absorb certain sounds.
That's there and then.
That's right. Yeah. So most of the times if you're thinking of, you might think of your room as a swimming pool. If a whole bunch of kids jump in all at the same time, that water gets choppy, and it's no fun to do the backstroke anymore.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So calming that down is really taking out some of those peaks. It's taking out some of the tall waves, sound waves, and smoothing it out and making it for a more comfortable, swimming, listening experience. Better for conversation, better for communication. It's safer. It's better for your ears. There are all sorts of studies about recovery times in the hospital when noise levels are kept down. If you could imagine, lying in a hospital bed, listening to the beeping and groaning next door, it could affect your health that way. And so I work with yoga studios, dance studios, anywhere where you think of either education, communication, or enjoyment of music, you can make that space sound better. And so linking up with that is where CVille 360 is actually, it's based around the Matterport system, a Matterport Pro 3 camera. So it's their newest camera. It's creating 3D models, and you've often seen virtual tours made with Matterport for real estate listings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whether you're trying to rent an apartment or purchase a home, it will take you inside, and it can be as simple as, it seems like in most cases that it might just be a series of images.
Yeah,
Images.
you click and it shows you a picture of this wall or that wall.
Yep, and so the cool thing with 360 is it allows you to turn around in the space and get a perspective of where things are in relation to each other, rather than being limited to, 1080 by 720 or 1440 by 1080 or whatever it happens to be, the aspect ratio. But Matterport allows you to take it a step further too. So you're creating using a LiDAR sensor, so using a laser sensor, you're taking millions of points of data and you're creating a 3D model. So you're actually creating a model that you can view and manipulate and look at in different views, and that's a great way for wedding venues, music venues, any rentable spaces, Airbnbs, VRBO, or standard real estate listings to allow a potential customer, potential renter to step inside, look at how things are, especially for wedding venues. It can sometimes come into play where will the tables and chairs be set up versus the altar, in relation to the flowers, in relation to where the caterers set up the buffet and that sort of thing. And so seeing things in 360 and being able to kind of virtually walk around a space becomes more informative and gives you a better sense of space from far away than just regular imagery.
Yeah, pictures.
Which is so key to, it's true, when we had Mia wedding planner on, she said many of her clients, many people who do weddings in Charlottesville are not from here. So they're picking the venue they might live in New York or California and so forth. So if they're picking a venue and all you have to go by is an outdoor picture and 2 indoor pictures, the idea of having to actually plan the layout or know, does this even work for my image, would be almost impossible without something like CVille 360 to kind of show you, here's what it looks like from the outside, but here's what the actual, if you were in there, here's what it would be like.
And you can actually view it from above as a floor plan as well.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And take measurements.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. Yeah, no, it's a good question. So one of the questions I was going to ask is when I think about from the sound perspective, are there any of these tools available also to you? Because you look at a building, right, and you say, well, let's see, off that, the sound's going to bounce different versus here versus there, just like lighting, right? Depending on what photographers use that all the time. Are there any tools that help you try to figure out, okay, here's what the room looks like, or see, I'm outdoors, that sound's just going to boom disappear. How do I get it, so that it doesn't keep going and nobody hears me? Absolutely,
yeah. So just like the swimming pool is a good analogy, light can be a good analogy as well. So you're looking at, an open window is the same thing for sound as it is for light. Light passes right through it, and sound passes straight through an open window. Whereas a wall or a closed window, you have certain reflections and resonances, and then as you look at different materials will respond to sound differently. So as far as tools that are available for doing that, certainly the 360 images and 360 camera come in handy for looking at spaces. You're taking measurements to get the volume of a space,
Gotcha.
to get the recommended amounts of sound treatment that you might need to tame it to a certain level. There are industry standards of whether you're looking at something that's meant for speech versus education versus sports versus music versus rock music versus classical music. And so there are different measurements that you can take, and then also sound measurements that you can take with reference microphones to make sure that you're addressing the correct problem as you step into a room as well.
Right. Yeah, because I mean I've been in events where sometimes the room is so, I don't know, it's set up in such a way that people's voices are just bouncing
So
everywhere.
loud, yes.
And like even the person in front of you speaking to you, and there's just so much noise coming to your ears that it's like you can hardly hear them, right? And then they start blasting music, and it's like all it is a mumbo jumbo of noise, And so I would assume that having that information, being able to look at that room and say, wow, this room needs to be I don't know what you used to take that sound away from, the bouncing walls or whatever. It must be pretty interesting and amazing to be able to do that.
That's absolutely right, and that's where most people have experienced that sort of situation where, man, it's loud in here. My head hurts at the end of the night, or or you notice you lost your voice
all the time.
because the night before you were talking so loud to the person right next to you, and so what it is lowering it's bringing in that radius of attention. So it's actually our brains can only focus on a certain number of sources at one time. So as you bring down the background noise level, you're not making it quiet. You're still accepting that you've got an exciting restaurant or a busy sounding venue, and you want that background music and you want all these sources, but you want to bring in that radius of attention so that you can speak to the few people around you and then hear the rest as sound, as distinct sounds, but sounds that you can focus away from or focus on, rather than it being a big cacophony of noise.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Now, can you do both with, for like SoundAround, can you do both one-time events? Like, okay, I have a venue, I just want the sound to work for this event, right? And can you also do like, okay, I have this space, what can you do kind of permanently to the space to change? Do you work with both types of clients?
Yeah, so I do actually have a number of mobile sound panels. So say you were doing a podcast or doing a recording, a video recording, or you had a conference room rented for your one-time meeting, that sort of thing. I can bring in mobile sound panels and set those up and put in at least 100 or a couple hundred square feet of absorption to try to control those excess echoes, control some of that sound. But for a more permanent solution, what we're really doing is we're not just looking at the materials and tacking them onto the wall. You're looking at a solution that's going to work aesthetically with the business. You want to fit in with the style. In some cases, you want to try to blend in as much as possible and disappear into the wall or disappear into the ceiling. And at other times, you might want something that's adding some texture or even is a custom printed panel that could have a logo or scenery of your food or scenery out the window or something like that shows your identity and your brand and your place. And so you can also have them custom printed, and they'll just look.
And did you have some? Right? You have some like fall. You were showing us earlier.
So they can look just like canvas artwork. Mm-hmm. So many people have this sort of stock canvas artwork that works well because it's it's practical for businesses, it's easy to install and that sort of thing. Well, you can do the same thing with sound panels, and then you're actually getting some functionality out of it as well. And you'll be amazed. It is incremental, so you can start small, and it can take a certain amount to really get an effect, but every little bit of those first gains, that's low-hanging fruit to start controlling echoes, and you'll be amazed that standing in a corner that's treated just kind of brings an immediate
you kind of
feeling of
breathe in.
calm. It's amazing. It's yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're seeing on the screen, we've got the pictures coming by. A couple of them, one of them I think is kind of a SoundAround stape, and then the others are kind of what you can do with the CVille 360, just how dramatic it looks, how clear the imaging is.
No, it is. Yeah, I did take a look at that.
So
That was pretty
impressive
amazing.
to be able to kind of preview. Yeah, that's the one that's on the screen now. Or given the delay, it might have been like 2 seconds ago, but like you can see a home, but it really feels like you're standing right in. There's a stairway and a hallway, couple chairs and a table, but it really feels like you're right there. And you would think it's like I just snapped there and took like a wide angle, high quality photograph. But the idea that you could actually move within this space is
So the idea of one of those photos is you could actually, in the Matterport tour, you'd be able to click and scroll and look around. You could even view it in VR or a VR headset if you wanted.
Wow.
So if you were to sample it down, if you were to edit it down, they come out to 4K quality photos. So you can get a lot of your interior photography and exterior photography through the Matterport system and through that nice new camera.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It's kind of a 2-in-1. In other words, once you've done, so if a client hires you to like kind of go through and make this visual map, this 360 of their event venue or their museum or something of that nature, you're getting, in essence, you're also kind of getting a photography session with it, because you can then go in there and pull out 4K images that may be on the front of your website or something you want to use a couple
Absolutely,
images,
yeah.
and then have someone click into the
And there's definitely a place for drone photography and for fine photographers and space for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of the cool things that you can do with Matterport, with this CVille 360 system on top of photography is you can go and you can actually make guided tours. You can add notes and internal links to the tours. Many people use this in actually building inspection, in progress reports. For some architectural firms will use it for initial design, at least for visualizing what it might look like with an addition, or what it might look like with different
neat.
furniture for interior design. And so there are a lot of extra features you can use as well. Again, that's not just that you're walking through, but you can load it with extra information. You can use it for virtual trainings for a business, or even new employee orientation, that sort of thing. So if you were to open up an office and then tag the top cabinet drawer with this is where you find your Post-it notes, and this is where the Keurig machine is, and that sort of thing. So
That's neat.
That's neat.
That's neat.
That's
Yeah,
very
and it's,
cool.
and it's funny because when you think about it, when you walk into a room visually, right? That's what you do. You kind of look around. Your eyes, your head is moving around. And what I saw with that is that's basically what it's doing. It's moving around. So you are truly getting a perspective that you're looking for yourself when, like you said, when you're buying a house, or, and I know some people, they'll go into a house and the room's empty. And it's like, what do I do with this room? I can't fit anything, right? But then if you can visualize, if the 360 can put in furniture in there, right? In other words,
Yeah.
if you say, if you put this over here, now you somebody looks, oh wow, that looks really nice. Because like myself, some
See
people
also
don't
the usefulness
visualize.
from a real estate perspective, because a lot of times you sit there, okay, someone's selling a house, right? And let's say they move out before the house is done. Well, you captured it when there was still furnishing,
Exactly.
all these beautiful things, right? So now, yes, someone who does a walk-in now that you've moved, right, had this an empty house, but they can go back and say, okay, well, especially for people like that are not, like I'm not a visual person. So you can't put me
You
in
can't
an empty
imagine.
room.
Yeah, you're
you
not
can't
one of
put me
those
in
to
an
say,
empty room
I
and
can
I'll be
put
like,
this here, that there. No, it's like, I can
they're actually working on a tool that uses AI, where if you put in a Matterport model, you can type in "defurnish my room," and all the furniture will pop out. And then let's try it mid-century modern, and it'll pop in mid-century modern. Or
Oh my goodness.
let's try, so they really are using. It's a technology company, so they're using all of new tools like that, AI, and some of those things are works in progress too. But there are a lot of cool things you can do with it. And I was sitting back there thinking about a teaser for escape rooms. You know,
Try to
step
see
inside. You
yeah.
can say, okay, what's this going to be like? But you know, keep it concealed so that you're
Exactly.
Spoiling too much.
not spoiling anything. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. John Blair, thanks for tuning in and watching the show this morning. So what's it like to have taken this, I guess it's kind of a natural progression from SoundAround. Here you are, you're helping a place, really, you're helping a place achieve kind of its optimal sound, and now kind of helping it achieve its optimal look from someone who's not able to be there in person. What was it like to kind of grow the business in this direction and take that step?
Yeah. Certainly, it's deciding to make the investment in top of the line equipment that's going to hold up to anyone who needs, that level of photography, that level of tour, learning the tools, and spending time with new clients that are able to to show off new venues. So I've really enjoyed trying to find ways to offer niche services and offer services that I care about, but also that may not be readily available to other venues. There are certainly folks out there creating real estate tours, but to think about this in a new way, I really do want to open CVille 360 up to museums and historic buildings and art galleries and public places that really can leverage the uniqueness of that marketing strategy, and then especially for venues and tasting rooms to bring people in. I mean, this is the solutions that I offer and the sort of cooperation that I offer with a business is really about Charlottesville tourism, and bringing folks in, because we have so much to offer here. Absolutely. So many wineries and breweries and distilleries and music venues and musicians and bands and great places to celebrate and to bring people together and to have family together. And so, the ability to step people inside and then give them a good experience, a good sound experience once they're there is really, I hope to find my niche there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that makes sense, because think about it. When movies are going to come out, right? You have a big movie coming out. They always have these little previews, right? Which they're trying to capture the audience. Like, wow, that looked great. I need to go see the movie. So this is kind of the same thing. If you're able then to have a snapshot of a museum or a brewery or whatever, and you look, it's like, wow, I had no idea this place had this or looked like this or had the ability to do. It's great market, because one snapshot, you go into the website, you see something like that, go, yeah, I got to go there, as opposed to you go there, see a couple pictures, it's okay.
And really, for any business too, there are integrations with Google Maps, with Google Street View. You can actually place, once you've made a floor plan, you can place that floor plan, overlay it on Google Maps,
so someone can click inside.
and they love when you provide them, provide them the data that they are asking for. So you've got, for any business, really, a retail business, you're showing the accessibility of the business, the location of it. You're giving it visibility on Google Maps. You're giving it 360 images, both inside and out, and providing that sort of, all around marketing plan to make sure that your Google My Business profile is taken care of, and that you then are providing the most information you can, again, for accessibility reasons and visibility for your own business as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I love the combination.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you said, it's not a service that's easy to find. Right, but within it, you have all this versatility of all the things that you can use your expertise for, both in the visual space and in making a place sound as good as it can. So I always learn so much when we have you on and talk to you.
The other thing we need, so now think about it, you can capture somebody's vision through the website, you can even capture the sound, right? Because you can give them some sound through.
Yeah.
The only thing you can't capture is you show a picture of a beautiful dish, and you go,
Oh,
the
yes.
smell. You got to get that somehow. So you can say, oh, yeah,
No,
the aroma. Wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Smell-o-vision,
Yeah,
yes.
you
smell of it. There you go. Well, it's next time we have you on.
That's right. He'll probably say, I got it.
I got it, guys. So Jay, it's always a pleasure. For people who are interested, where can they get in touch? Reach out to you, schedule, a consultation or a talk with you.
Of course, yeah. So everything is under SoundAroundCVille.com, and I have the two businesses semi-separated with that one website. So SoundAroundCVille.com. I'm at SoundAroundCVille. I'm also on Facebook under CVille 360, but you can also just come to that website, SoundAround CVille, and get in touch with me, and I'll show you all the different ways that I can help.
Absolutely, yeah. When you get to SoundAround CVille, there is a Matterport /360 tab, so you can see all the different things that Jay can provide. So,
That's
Jay, it's been
amazing.
an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you
again.
so much for
Thanks a
coming
lot,
back.
guys. Yeah, old
Appreciate
friends.
it.
Fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Oh man, so just great day.
Yeah, no, really. This
with
is...
some awesome guests.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like every week I come and I learn something. I enjoy it, and the creativity in both of these guys. Let's face it. I mean, the unlocked history. I mean, I couldn't even begin to create something like that. And with Jay, I mean, it's like, how do I take that noise and make it disappear? I mean, granted, I mean, they have their specialties. We have ours, but still, it's just.
It seems like magic to me that you.
Yeah.
Get that noise down, like absorb it. I'm like,
I know,
oh,
really.
It's a joke. But it's just and really just it's just wonderful to see local people here in
Absolutely.
Charlottesville doing
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah.
really encourage people if you're in need of that. Heck, if you've got a space, even if you don't think you're in need of it, have Jay come by and see. Because you know what, you'd be surprised probably.
Yeah.
How much we put.
I mean, in today's world, think about it. I mean, most people, are, to a certain respect, are not going to the movie theaters as much as they used to in the past. And part of it is because you have now the ability. I mean, I went to Costco 2 days ago.
Home theater system.
And I think Michael said, hey, Pops, look at that. I mean, that's like bigger than ours. And it's like, we go downstairs and the TV now looks just normal. And this thing is huge. And I say, I get a headache just looking at it. It's like enormous. It's like you need just a room for that, right? But think about it. I mean, the ability to almost create what a movie theater has gotten closer than ever in the past, right?
Before,
So you get somebody like Jay to come in and say, yeah, you can put that here and here's the sound and whatever. You're going to be sitting there going, I'm watching Batman and I feel like I'm at the movie theater,
exactly. Well, and now instead of a computer game doing the puzzles, you do the real thing in the escape room. It's like you don't need to buy. Remember those games you have to buy on the computer where you'd be going through the submarine.
Oh,
and
yeah,
everything's
yeah,
gone and you don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But now it's like I can do the real thing with my own two hands, which is just so neat. So just really just so impressed.
It's a great it's a great night out. I mean, it's a 1 hour of extreme. It's fun.
Exciting.
It's exciting, and I mean, there's even like a certain good stress because there's a time limit. It's like we got 5 minutes, and we gotta get this
Phil,
thing
especially
open.
with the British are coming. Like Phil, he comes in with and he's got like the Jewett.
The British are almost here.
Gonna be here in 15 minutes. You're like,
thanks, Phil. I really needed that.
Oh, that's fantastic. So really love being here with you today.
Oh, same thing.
Always
here.
a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
I know. I will be down next week, but you will have some great guests.
Absolutely.
Miguel and Catalina from Craddock Serious Insurance going to be coming on.
Okay.
So that's always fun to have the two of them joining us.
We'll chit-chat about insurance, and we'll have a little English, a little Spanish, a little salsa. Who knows?
That's why we're today I Mañana, right? We got the bilingual drawing. So really awesome guest. Next week, thanks for everyone for the comments and questions today. Yeah. Kevin Higgins, a couple great comments there, 3 great comments there. So thank you so much. Always being a great viewer of the show, a great participant in the show. Really appreciate everyone who tuned in this morning. Look forward to seeing everyone next week. Thanks, Judah, behind the camera, of course, always making us look good. made us to show in some of those pictures.
He's amazing.
That
he really
we had
is.
there. So he does a great job. Thanks to I Love CVille Network. Emergent Financial Services, our presenter, our great partners at Castle Hill Cider, Matthias, Joan Realty, Craddock, Serious Insurance, Forward, Adelante. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you all next week. But until that time, as we like to close it out, hasta mañana.